der letzte Monat in diesem durchaus verrückten Jahr und ich denke, er wird die vorherigen Monate noch toppen können. Ich bin überzeugt davon. Ja, wir haben heute einen besonderen Gast aus den Vereinigten Staaten, aus Washington State. Und er wird sich gleich vorstellen. Ich muss nur leider sagen, wir werden auf Übersetzungen verzichten und werden jetzt die erste Stunde komplett in Englisch verbringen. Es tut mir leid für all diejenigen, die kein Englisch verstehen oder nicht so gut. Ich hoffe, ihr bleibt trotzdem dabei. Wir werden diesen Ausschnitt dann rausschneiden und versuchen zu übersetzen, sodass der in den nächsten Tagen gesehen werden kann. Wir haben überlegt, es ist nur so, der Jordan hat nur eine Stunde Zeit und wenn wir da simultan übersetzen, würde uns, glaube ich, zu viel entgehen von dieser Stunde. Und ja, darum hoffe ich, dass es so okay ist. Und bitte nun, Jordan Sather sich vorzustellen. Please, Jordan, introduce yourself.
Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate you guys having me here. And my name is Jordan. I've been doing, I guess you could call it the digital soldier work, the citizen journalist work for about 4 years now. I really started awakening though about 10 years ago, quite a long time ago. I know I look young, but I've been into this for quite a while. But I came into this by actually dropping out of college. I dropped out of university and I started working at a local health food store. And then at that health food store, I became familiarized with a lot of the pharmaceutical corruption out there, big pharma, whether it was the truth about vaccines, about the fluoride in our water, the cancer cures out there that are suppressed. So that's what I initially started waking up to. And then quickly I was just hungry for all the information I could find. It was into a bunch of different rabbit holes. If you're researching big pharma and the history of that, it's very tied into the history of the banking system. You got the same families essentially who set up the pharmaceutical industries, at least here in America, and I'm sure worldwide too, but setting up the pharmaceutical industries and then the same ones setting up the central banks, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, etc. So I was researching big pharma, quickly into figuring out the banking system, looking at that, and then it was like, oh, the same family here in the oil industry suppressing free energy technologies and anti-gravity technologies, and then it was just so many different things. And that was all within not that long of a time frame, maybe a few months, a year or two. Definitely took me years to process what I was learning and the information, as it so often happens when you're going through your awakening. You get a little ostracized from your friends and family. That same thing happened to me. So it was a tough ride there for a little while, maybe through 2013, 14, 15, those years for me. And then, of course, the political sphere in this country at that time was very turbulent, very rocky. And then in about 2016, I came to a place where I was still working in some alternative health jobs. I worked for a chiropractor and a couple other health food stores as a personal trainer, strength coach. I wasn't happy with what I was doing. I was learning all this other information and I wanted to get it out there to a larger audience who took it more seriously. So that's why I decided to go on the internet and start making YouTube videos and also posting research to social media. And then in 2016 there, it was sort of right before the election that I decided to do that. And quite honestly, I wasn't really following the election in 2016 between Trump and Hillary too closely because I was really disenfranchised with the whole system. Honestly, at that point, I thought Trump was controlled opposition. And I thought it was just going to be a mess and who really cares. But once in October of 2016, the WikiLeaks emails dropped, John Podesta's emails. And then I read through those. I saw all the food code words, if you want to call it that, in there and started connecting the dots with that. And I also saw the mention of UFOs and zero-point energy there in Podesta's emails. And then after those emails dropped, seeing Trump win the presidency, the dots started, the gears were turning in my head. I thought to myself, wow, maybe Trump isn't one of them. Maybe there is some alliance or some group or network of white hats that are working down to take the deep state. And maybe they were able to get one of their guys into the presidency here. So that really shocked me. That really inspired me. I guess we could say, catalyzed me into getting this information out there, really started making YouTube videos, and it all started taking off from there. And then Q came out, towards the end of 2017. I was making videos for about 9 months. So I had a little bit of experience under my belt doing this citizen journalist sort of work, tiny bit, but I was doing it before Q came out. And then once Q came out in October of 2017, towards the end there, I came across the drops within maybe a day or two. It wasn't on October 28th when they made their first post, but it might have been that day or the next day. I didn't find Q's posts on the chans though. I think I found them on Twitter. Saw a tweet and started looking into it a little bit more. And once I saw the posts, a couple of days went by, some more posts were made, and we started analyzing them and stuff. Once I saw them, it instantly felt like something was there to me. I gave it a couple of months before I really was sold on it. I wanted to make sure it wasn't some sort of psyop or deep state controlled opposition, something or other. But instantly, in my head, I was like, wow, whoever is posting here, just with the amount of, the questions, with the way they were stated and said, with how many different topics were said in these posts, and it went, all across the board. It wasn't just a compartmentalized sort of view. I was sold on these Q's drops. I started making videos. I was already making videos, of course, but I started doing these live videos every single day with this super cheesy whiteboard, trying to analyze them in the news. And I was getting huge amount of traction. I mean, within a week or two, early November 2017, a week or two of Q's posts, I was pretty much the only person on YouTube at that point. I'm pretty confident in saying this. I was maybe the first, but at that point, the largest, most popular person on YouTube talking about him. I was getting 100,000 views on a video within a day. I mean, so many people must have been hearing about this whole Q thing and just spreading around, and they were trying to figure out who was talking about it. And I was like the only person on YouTube talking about it. So it was incredible to see the growth and the Q community begin forming around these drops that were being made. And a lot of people started researching them and verifying them and finding all the Q proofs out there. It was great. And then in 2017, a huge wave of censorship hit. This was in February of 2018. Dozens of people lost their channels within the span of a few days. They were definitely suppressing the information that we were discussing. And then throughout 2018, I was able to get my YouTube channel back, luckily. I actually got it terminated again in 2018. Then I got it back. It was a mess. And still trucked along with the whole work, went through it for a few years. And then, of course, another election this year. And we're getting the censorship worse than it's ever been, ever. Dozens of us, maybe 100, if not more, all lost our YouTube channels on October 15th, just a month and a half ago. A lot of us are fighting to get our YouTube channels back, but there's been absolutely no give there. I also lost my Twitter account, my Facebook account, my Instagram account, my Discord channel, and then I had a few t-shirts taken down, I think from Teespring or Spreadshirt or one of the third-party printer services that we have in the US here. That's all been within the last few weeks. Like, it's been crazy. I've literally had to rebuild just about everything. I think I've had a total of maybe 600,000 or 700,000, adding up all the accounts, all the different ones and all the different platforms, about 600,000 or 700,000 followers that were all just taken. So it's incredible what big tech is doing. And I love the fact that conversation is getting into the mainstream now. This censorship, it's real. What do we do about it? There's something we have to do about it. And right now we're seeing this, this election fraud that's really making people disappointed and shake their heads. And worldwide we're seeing. I mean, I hope you guys there in Germany and over in Europe are having people, I'm sure you got a lot of people that are falling for the mainstream media lies, but I sure hope that you're having some people question this. And I just saw a video today of the Brazilian president. He was saying that he thinks there was a lot of fraud going on and he's waiting to see what happens. So it's good to see around the world, the eyes are on this election. The world is watching the American election here. And let me tell you, it is incredible to see the polarization take place. How you've got a select group of people, the normies or the sheeple or whatever you want to call them, the people who live in fantasy land, believe what the media is telling them. They actually deep down inside believe that Joe Biden is the president-elect and that he's going to be sworn in on January 20th. And they just live in this reality over here. And then you've got the folks that don't watch or don't believe CNN. They don't believe NBC and the Washington Post and all the crap news. They do their own investigative research. They go to the alternative news sources, the alternative websites like the Epic Times or One America News or different sources out there, or the citizen journalists on YouTube and social media. And all this evidence is right there, right in front of their faces. You can't even keep up with it. There's just so much coming out of all these different contested states every single day that it's just, I mean, there's no way. In this reality over here, the one that's closer to the actual truth, there's no way that Joe Biden is going to be president. I mean, there's just so much fraud getting exposed. So we'll see. We'll see how this continues. But no doubt, I mean, our election system will never, ever be the same in this country, ever. And really, it's going to have reverberations. It's going to shockwave worldwide because people are going to see around the world how this country that we're all told, right? We're told America is the pinnacle of democracy, and that's where the democratic process of freedom really started. That's what we're all told. But we're seeing now, right before our eyes, it's all getting exposed that might have been a big fat lie. And in fact, this election might not just have been rigged, but elections before this one looked like that they were absolutely rigged, because we've got the same companies and the same players and them involved in counting that election. They're involved in counting this one too. So I don't know. It's just, I think it's all turning out. It seems crazy. It seems nuts, but I think it's all turning out beautifully, because without this fraud taking place, without, I guess we could say, the Trump campaign and the Trump administration letting this fraud happen, then it wouldn't have gotten exposed so much, and a lot of people wouldn't have seen it. So I think it's all playing out exactly as it should be, and we've got 1 month left of this year, so we'll see how it turns out.
Well, we have been told that it should be a nice Christmas, right? So
yeah, I'm excited for, I hope it'll be a good Christmas. I hope we'll get some relief from big tech and some breakthroughs with this election fraud getting exposed. Might get an arrest or two, but we will see. You know, today it's pretty, I see some comments here talking about William Barr. Okay, let's get into William Barr. So I did see that just an hour ago or so. It was reported in the Associated Press that William Barr spoke to them and said that there is no evidence of fraud that would change the election outcome. And a lot of people have been upset and angry at William Barr. Where have you been, our Attorney General, head of the Department of Justice? He's supposed to be investigating things and putting people in prison and making arrests. I'm not jumping at this news and getting scared or upset by it. I want to give it the good old, 24-hour rule, maybe even 2 or 3 days to see how this evolves. It could be some sort of show, some sort of counterintelligence or disinformation that William Barr is purposely putting out there to make people think that he's non-political and make people think that he's not one of Trump's lapdogs or cronies or something like that. I don't know. I don't think William Barr is a bad guy. I think he's a white hat. Granted, I think it's a very good idea to, in this day and age, not be so tied into beliefs. Maybe William Barr is going to change or fold. I hope not. I don't think that's the case, but maybe we'll see. Although we know there's fraud, that it's going to change the election outcome. We know that's going to be the case. So that's why I'm looking at this and feeling maybe William Barr is just creating that distance on purpose from Donald Trump right now. So when he does come out with the arrests, it doesn't look like it's such a bad thing. The media can't make it look like a political hit job. Plus, right now, there's a controlled we could call it a controlled implosion being done with the FBI and with the DOJ. William Barr could be doing this to make the American public truly want a reconstructed Department of Justice, really make it look like they're bad. Because there's a lot of bad actors, of course, in the FBI and the DOJ, but who knows? We'll see. We'll see what happens with this. Although the fraud is getting exposed again all over the place. We had the hearing yesterday in Arizona. Rudy Giuliani was there, President Trump's attorney, and they were laying it all out for the public to see. That was a very good hearing. We had another hearing today in the state of Michigan, another contested state. This hearing was not quite as friendly. It didn't look like the state legislature were wanting to hear the testimony from people who witnessed fraud. It was kind of unfortunate, but still, there was plenty of evidence being laid out there for the public to see. And then we've got Sidney Powell, who is not one of President Trump's attorneys, but she's still, General Flynn's former attorney. She's still a huge, credible, reliable, popular name in this country. She's got her lawsuits coming out. Lynn Wood, another very popular attorney, is bringing forth his lawsuits. And of course, these aren't any picnic lawsuits. They are bringing forth heavy information. Lynn Wood just today on his Twitter account, this again was just a couple hours ago, said information being received now that communist China purchased Dominion Voting Systems. That was the voting company that had their machines in 28 states. All the battleground states, especially Georgia, all had Dominion Voting Systems. China purchased Dominion Voting on October 8th for $400 million. That's what Linwood tweeted. That's the claim he's making. Efforts underway to verify. If true, this confirms other evidence that communists intended to overthrow our government and get our precious land. So Linwood tweeted this, and we're getting some corroborative information, some information showing that might actually be true. Somebody dug up an SEC filing. SEC, that stands for the Security and Exchange Commission. That's the area of the U.S. government that basically oversees like a lot of business dealings and things like that. Anyway, there was a filing made with the SEC on October 8th by Staple Street Capital. That's the company that owns Dominion. They actually bought Dominion last year in 2019. It's an investment firm named Staple Street Capital. It's crazy how our voting system in this country, in the U.S., we should probably have it secure, right? If we want to be the most free democratic nation in the world, it should be secure, and we should be confident in our vote. And yet somehow we have all these private corporations with their shell companies and their super secretive investors. Like, we have no idea who the heck counts our votes. Truly, we have no idea, and we have no idea about the computers that run them. It's incredible. But anyway, Staple Street Capital, they own Dominion Voting Systems. They bought them last year. This year, in October, just a month and a half ago, Staple Street Capital basically sold Dominion for $400 million to, what bank is it here? Sorry, I don't want to get the bank wrong. This is I'm going to see if I can drop this in I can't chat, can I? UBS Securities, that's it. It's a Chinese investment bank and a brokerage firm. UBS Securities. So
if you have the link, you can do it in our chat.
I can do it in your chat?
Yes.
Okay. I've never used this streaming application before. Oh, I won't waste the time. But anyway, UBS Securities Company Limited is a Chinese investment bank and brokerage firm that affiliated to Swiss investment bank UBS. It's worth a few $1 billion. It was founded about 14 years ago. It's headquartered in Beijing, China. So what we're seeing here, coming out today, is that I don't know how this wasn't found earlier. I don't know how the SEC let this happen. Literally, the company that counts all these votes in this country is now owned by a Chinese bank based in Beijing. This is not hearsay. This is, in fact, I do want to figure out how to drop this link
I'll just
in the
and paste it.
in the chat so all you guys can have it. I did it in the private chat there. I don't know how to post it.
I put it. Don't worry.
Okay, great. There you go. SEC.gov. Boom, the filing right there. Staple Street Capital, Delaware. It's incredible. Like, it's just crazy. China basically counted our votes. And this is the same thing that General Flynn was recently pardoned, which he shouldn't have had to been pardoned. He should have been exonerated a long time ago, but unfortunately, yes, our judicial system in this country is still very corrupt and infiltrated. So Donald Trump had to go and pardon him, what Flynn is calling a pardon of innocence. And then Flynn's first interview he did after that pardon was last Friday. He called into a broadcasting network. I have the interview here too. I'll drop it in the private chat, and you can post it to the public one. So that was General Flynn's first interview he did last Friday after being pardoned. He did this interview on a show with another general, a friend of his, a retired Air Force general. Flynn was Army. And this retired Air Force general, his name is Thomas McInerney, Lieutenant General Thomas McInerney. I think he was Lieutenant General. Anyway, McInerney was talking about that. Well, he was talking about a lot of things, but one of the things he was discussing was the supposed firefight, how U.S. Special Forces went into Frankfurt, Germany there and seized a CIA server farm. According to McInerney, that is very true. And Sidney Powell even made mention of that she was hearing these allegations, these claims. Looks like it could be the case. I mean, yesterday in Arizona, one of the witnesses that the Trump campaign brought forth said he was a cybersecurity expert. He was a former military as well. I believe he was a colonel in the Army, retired. But he was saying that he was tracking Dominion voting systems internet traffic on election night on November 3rd. And he was saying that he was finding a lot of internet traffic from Dominion to Frankfurt, Germany. He didn't go so far as to say that it was a CIA farm and all those, deeper claims, but that's interesting. That's a corroborating data point that maybe General McInerney was telling the truth. Maybe U.S. Special Operations Command found that Dominion was communicating with a server in Germany and went to get it. Maybe it was a secret CIA server. I mean, this all makes sense to me, and I'm sure it makes sense to you guys and all your listeners too. So it's yeah.
Didn't people die in that operation too? Like there were
yes, the allegation is that 5 special forces passed away and 1 CIA security guard or paramilitary individual was killed in that firefight. That one, even General McInerney said that one's a rumor. He couldn't verify that one. So I would throw that one in the, I don't know, bucket. But it sounds like McInerney sounded very confident in the fact that this happened, though, that there was a CIA secret server farm in Frankfurt, Germany that was taken care of and
you can say something
brought into the control of the special forces. What's that?
You can say something to Gina Haspel?
Yes, I can say something about Gina Haspel. So was there anything else I wanted to finish up with that McInerney train of thought? I don't think so. But so let's get into Gina Haspel. There's been a lot of, at least in my opinion, a lot of clickbait, a lot of what I call fake conspiracy theory news, because we get a lot of fake news from the mainstream media, of course. And that's, once you become aware of that, it's pretty easy to identify. Something that might be a little more difficult to identify is the fake news that spreads around the truth-seeking communities, the conspiracy fake news. And you'll just get, again, it's sort of the same thing that the mainstream media does. People claiming that they have these inside sources, but they don't name them. They have these anonymous sources, or they just say, I heard this, or they make these claims that people are arrested, but have zero sauce, zero evidence behind them. I personally I can't stand that. I can't stand when people, they just hate on the mainstream
Seen so
media for
many of
giving them
those.
fake news.
Yeah.
And then right over here, they get all excited over something they see. They don't verify it or discern it at all, and they just share it around like it's the truth. It's one of my pet peeves. But I've seen all sorts of claims about Gina Haspel go viral over the last 24 hours. One of them is this like screenshot of an article that says, arrest, Gina Haspel arrested, and the screenshot didn't even spell her name right. And yet everybody thinks that happened, that she was arrested. No, I don't think that's the case. I saw another claim that Gina Haspel was even killed in that firefight, as if the director of the CIA is going to be hanging out at a server farm, and I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. So Gina Haspel, okay, we addressed the fake rumors going around. Now let's bring it, okay, a little more big picture. Is she a white hat or a black hat? Again, I mean, here's the thing. If we knew, then the bad guys would know, and then Q team and the Trump administration would be, exposed. So it's kind of better that we don't know. It's kind of the point. I don't feel like she would be a black hat. And again, we're watching a movie, as Q has told us so many times. So a lot of the people who look like black hats, they might look like they're doing bad things, such as William Barr saying that, there's no evidence of fraud that could overturn the election. They could be doing that for something strategically and not actually black hats or white hats. Gina Haspel could be doing things to look like a bad person, but really, in the grand scheme of things, it's helping the overall plan. I personally don't think that even if Gina Haspel is a black hat, they wouldn't read her in on the deepest intelligence and the deepest aspects of the plan. So I'm not worried about her. I do fully think the CIA is going to get exposed with all of this election fraud, and absolutely the CIA, the deep networks, the criminal syndicates networks to China and Iran. That's where I was going with my thought on General McInerney earlier. So I want to finish that up. The reason I brought that up was because something else that General McInerney said on that phone call that happened last Friday is that the 305th Military Intelligence Brigade, I get a brigade and battalions mixed up, 305th Military Intelligence Brigade is working with Sidney Powell, apparently. If you actually look at Sidney Powell's filings that she's made in, say, the state of Georgia or Michigan, she's actually referencing former individuals who worked with the 305th Military Intelligence Brigade. General McInerney said that this Military Intelligence Brigade is working with Sidney Powell, is getting a lot of this information out, and they're the ones that have found that, yes, it was China and Iran and these other countries that are meddling in our elections here. So that is hitting the airwaves now. McInerney is sort of leaking that or prepping the public with this information. And we're seeing a few days later with Lynn Wood tweeting this Chinese bank buying Dominion for $400 million. And, it's sort of all coming out and confirming it. So there's no way back. There's no way back for these deep state networks from this one, whether it is foreign countries meddling in these elections or the CIA and these intelligence networks. Just crazy, crazy times we're in.
Okay, Jordan, there are more questions from the chat. You can say something about Chris Miller and Ezra Cohen.
Yes, Chris Miller. So Chris Miller is our new head of the Department of Defense, basically the head of the military in some regards. So Chris Miller is leading the Department of Defense. He is a former Special Forces guy. Speaking of the Special Forces, he worked as a Green Beret for a long time. He had tours in Afghanistan, multiple tours, and he's very respected in the Special Forces community. Then we also saw that the chain of command structure in the Department of Defense was changed. So in other words, the Special Operations Command, they don't have to go through all the bureaucratic channels. They have a straight line of communication now with the Department of Defense, Who is Chris Miller, who used to be Special Forces? Oh, wow, we're hearing about the Special Forces just raided this CIA server farm in Germany. So we're seeing all these different pieces align. Like, so many different pieces are aligning right now. We get Chris Miller, head of the DOD. They changed the way that Special Forces communicates with the head of the DOD. Now we have Ezra Cohen Watnick, who for a few years, he's been going around different positions wherever he's needed. Remember, Ezra Cohen Watnick, Q told us that name is important to keep an eye on him. When you look into his history, you find that he was actually pretty close to Flynn not too many years ago. So he could be maybe a liaison or like a back channel for some people to communicate and intelligence to flow with these white hat networks. Ezra Cohen Watnick is also taking a major role now in the DOD. We have another individual by the name of Kash Patel, who Q is also named before, told us to keep eyes on. Kash Patel is, funny enough, leading the so-called transition now, Joe Biden's transition. That's Kash Patel. We can be pretty confident that Joe Biden and the deep state do not want Kash Patel to be leading that transition. He's probably watching this whole thing and reporting whatever he sees back to Chris Miller and Trump. So it's just all these pieces aligning. Oh, here's another piece. Just a few weeks ago, the federal government changed the rules for the death penalty here in this country. They brought back firing squads and electrocutions, I believe, as being the penalties for, or the ways they could off somebody if they got the death penalty. Why would they bring that back? What's the punishment for treason? The death penalty. We've got a lot of treason going on right now in this country, don't we? Just very incredible things happening, and we will see what the next 2 months, month or two brings. The states have to go through their so-called official certification process, many of them by December 14th. So these lawsuits that are coming out, they have to get most of their evidence, if not all of it, out within the next 2 weeks. And we'll see what the Supreme Court has to say, because even these states certifying their results, that still doesn't make it official. That's basically the same as like the mainstream media declaring Biden president-elect. No, the media doesn't declare the president. Even these states certifying the votes, that doesn't mean the vote was legitimate. They're certifying an illegitimate vote. That can still be litigated and taken to the Supreme Court. So I think this is all just getting drawn out, and the good guys are letting all of the, I mean, you could call it a giant sting operation if you want to. Basically is. They let this fraud take place. They're catching all the bad guys in the action. They're letting people show their true colors. For instance, yesterday, the governor of Arizona, who calls himself a Republican, calls himself a conservative, he went ahead and just certified the vote, certified Joe Biden winning. And everybody's like, what the heck? Why would he go and do that? He shouldn't have done that. Legally, he couldn't have done that, but he doesn't care. So it's incredible to see how both ends of the political spectrum are getting exposed. The shills and the frauds, not only in the left wing, not only in the Democrat side of the aisle, but a whole lot of Republicans out there are showing themselves to either be spineless or straight controlled oppositions, deep state owned. As they say in this country, Republican in name only, RINO. They call them rhinos. So it's not a left-wing, right-wing thing at all. I don't really even consider myself, I've never considered myself a conservative or labeled myself politically. I'm just on the side of truth. I just want truth and freedom for everybody. I don't care what form that comes in. That's just what I want for everyone. So I am very ecstatic to see this election fraud take down pretty much the whole political structure, and we're seeing the judicial structure get exposed for how corrupt that is. It's just beautiful times we're living in.
Yes, Jordan, thanks. It's really great to have you here, and the questions are would be fill 2 hours at least.
Yeah, we'll see how long we go for.
Maybe we
go for another.
We talk a little bit about some names and then go to a topic which is in Europe and especially Germany, really a great one, maybe the greatest in this hours, the vaccination. But before, maybe we can something about your side of Patrick Byrne and his hackers. You know him?
Is that the Overstock CEO?
Yes.
That's right. Okay. I have not looked into that story too much, but just from what I've seen as the headlines is that he is paying a group of hackers and cybersecurity experts to dig into this election fraud, which great. I mean, if he's doing that and hopefully has good intentions and isn't trying to pull something shady, fantastic. No doubt. I mean, we've got teams of cybersecurity experts all over the place bringing out their information, just watching the hearings that the Trump campaign is doing, like yesterday in Arizona and today in Michigan. Witnesses all over the place. So, hey, the more the merrier. The more the merrier.
So let's jump to another CEO. What do you think about Elon Musk?
Ooh, okay. We're going all across the board here. So, Elon Musk. I've got a lot of thoughts on him. Quite honestly, my belief is that years ago, this was during the Obama administration, 10 years ago, when he first came onto the scene, created PayPal, then went on into his other ventures, SpaceX and Tesla. I think he was a puppet. I think he was controlled by the deep state, and they just used him for whatever they were using him for the privatization of space, for being like the Bill Gates for millennials. That's kind of what I see Elon Musk as being. I think they were selling him as being this new technocrat, scientific person for the younger generation. Now, because of President Trump being in office, I think that maybe some of Elon Musk's strings were cut and he's not quite as much of a puppet anymore. But I could care less about whatever Tesla and SpaceX does, quite honestly, and quite honestly, it's kind of a slap in the face to Nikola Tesla, because Elon Musk is not using advanced technology. He's not using anti-gravity or electrogravitic propulsion systems. He's still using rockets, which are ancient technologies, nothing fancy. His Tesla technology is still all plug-in. Like, great, you have electric cars and all that, but you still got to plug it in. It's not free energy. It's not over unity energy. It's not what Nikola Tesla wanted. He was talking about decentralized zero-point energy creation. Elon Musk isn't doing any of that. Plus, he's got his Neuralink company that wants to embed chips into our head. I'm also not cool with that. So, I don't know. I'm personally not... That's not where I go for the latest and greatest of scientific research or the truth is Elon Musk. But I don't think he's a bad person. I just think he used to be, controlled, maybe blackmailed, maybe something like that, and just
maybe his time will come.
But he is kind of freaky. I mean, let alone how he called his kid and some funny pictures found in the internet about his wife.
He's just a really weird
seriously
guy. Like, probably one of the most socially awkward people you could ever come around. That just might be his demeanor.
Yeah. Jordan, just a small interruption. I just want to tell you many of our viewers know you, and they are very, very happy that we could get you into our show. And you look very good. So all the females are crazy now about you. So maybe you get a lot of emails now from German women. No, I just wanted to give you that feedback, and they have a lot of questions, as Sunny told. And great that you are here.
Yeah, I can see the comments here, and a lot of them are in English.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them I can't understand, but
it doesn't matter.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah. I just translated a little bit of your and posted in my Telegram channel, and so the people I think got the most things you said. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah. While I have, wow, you guys have a huge audience. That's incredible. While I have everybody here, I just want to make a mention of what I'm doing now real quick because of all this censorship. It's just difficult to keep, telling people and having to plug all the different accounts now. I do have a Telegram channel that I'm on. It would be awesome. I'd be honored if you guys could share something from my Telegram channel into yours.
Of course. Just tell us.
Yeah.
You post the name and I will share.
I'm not on, so of course I'm not on YouTube anymore, but I do stream to D Live and Twitch every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. It's probably the day after for you guys, but I stream to D Live and Twitch 3 times a week, and then I post the replays on BitChute and Rumble and the podcast replays too. So a lot of work is still going out there, and then I'm on Parler and Gab, to the alternative, more censorship-free platforms. If you go to my website, jordansather.com, everything's there. So I just wanted to plug that really quick if anybody wants to go find where I'm at. This is awesome. You guys' channel is massive, and I thank you for having me on too. It's the middle of the night for you guys, but middle of the day for me. So this totally works.
Yeah, well, thanks for being here. I mean, you were one of the first YouTube videos I watched, like the first channels, like you and Rob, like Edge of Wonder crew.
Edge of Wonder, yep, they were taken down in that YouTube purge as well, and we're also fighting Google and YouTube to get our channels back. We filed a lawsuit. It was about a week, maybe a week or two after we all got our channels taken down, and we're having a tough time with it because there's still some judges out there who might not be that awakened and understand what's going on too much. So they might see our case and think we're all crazy and ridiculous and that Google has the right to censor us like they did. But we can appeal it. We can go through different courts and all that. And then with Twitter and Facebook and everything doing what they're doing with this election, I mean, we're seeing Twitter put a little warning label on every single tweet that questions the election. Donald Trump has basically a warning on every single one of his social media posts. On Twitter, you go to his Instagram page, Donald Trump just has warnings, warnings, warnings. And then all the actual terminations they're doing of accounts. Donald Trump went and tweeted just a day or two ago about big tech, or he wants to remove Section 230 because of national security purposes, which absolutely, all this election tampering is a national security problem. And then Section 230 is the part of the bill. There's a long bill having to do with the communications sector, this law that was passed. I can't remember the exact bill a while back. But anyway, Section 230 is the section of it that grants these technology companies the ability to censor us and then not be held liable, not be considered a publisher. But with how big they are, they're basically monopolies. And then by censoring and by manipulating the trending sections too, they're acting as publishers. They're acting as publishers of information, which does not give them the right to censor other people like us on their platform. And then, of course, doing it in such a targeted fashion, doing it all at once, dozens of accounts, or you might have one person has multiple platforms taken down in the same day, showing communication and targeting between different companies like Twitter and Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah,
that's not legal at all. So
not an exaggerated term for this. Like, you said it was about 100 channels that went down. It's just crazy.
Yes.
And
and that's not an exaggeration at all. We've got 15 people on this lawsuit against Google, and the combined subscriber count of all of us is, in the millions, multiple millions. And that's just 15 of us, though. I mean, that's not, there's dozens and dozens of more channels that were taken down on the 15th of October too. So big tech is absolutely a national security threat, and it's a global security threat. I mean, truly, the amount of brainwashing that takes place from these tech companies is, I mean, it's tech and it's media. that is solidifying Fantasyland in the minds of the worldwide public in this country, in your countries, and all around the world. So we just need to, and a lot of people are waking up to the media corruption, which is great, but the tech industry is, it's a lot more confusing because you got these like algorithms and all this tech speak, and like it's difficult to track. And then of course you get somebody censored on a tech platform, and how are people even going to know about it? Because they can't post about it. So it's definitely more convoluted, but that's getting exposed just along with the media. But with the way search engines are manipulated, with the way Google manipulates all of our brains with only letting certain articles come up to the top when you search something, or you go for a news story and all they let come up to the top of the search is the same propaganda media outlets. You got your BBC News, you've got your New York Times, Washington Post, The Guardian. It's all so terrible.
Yeah, just want to add, like, essentially German media is the same. It's identical. It's controlled by.
It is. I mean, you got Reuters and you've got the Associated Press, who are international news wires, and they're sending out the exact same talking points to, doesn't matter if it's the New York Times or the Washington Post here in America, or if it's, BBC over in Europe and The Guardian and the Telegraph. It's just, when you have 5 companies, 5 or 6, control such a large portion of an industry, of a global industry, it becomes ripe for corruption and control and bringing forth nefarious agendas. And this is how the deep state operates. It doesn't matter what industry. Media is the best example in how 5 corporations own 95% of media, at least in this country. And, we could expand that out to the world and probably find just a small handful owning almost all of it, whether it's media, whether it's science. Even we have what's called the Big 5 medical journals and the Big 5 scientific journals here in this country. And these 5 medical journals publish pretty much all medical research. And it's very easy to control what people are able to post and do and publish and all these sorts of things when you control just 5 corporations. Energy industry, the oil companies, you got your Big 5 oil, and very easy for them to manipulate the energy industry to make sure that nothing like free.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Let's
still there?
completely.
Are we good?
My whole
Everything.
system broke down. My computer crashed. I don't know, but yeah, we are again.
Okay, it's all good.
And here I was thinking we got censored or something.
Did you lose all the people that were watching too?
Yes, but we get them.
No.
Okay.
That goes very quickly.
It might just be my face on YouTube. Who knows? Like, I can't be anywhere near the platform. Hope you got. Have you gotten a strike on this channel?
I got one of my videos erased, but 3 months later, and I don't know why, but I don't have a strike. I have one strike.
Strikes go away after a few months. That's good.
Sunny, die Chat-Funktion für diesen Livestream ist deaktiviert, krieg ich? Auf YouTube?
Nee, läuft bei mir.
Okay, das ist lustig. Im gleichen
Hat
Link?
vielleicht ein bisschen Verzögerung.
Nee, neuer Link. Nochmal neu
Okay.
raus. Rein. Es ist
Someone
das alte Video.
Teile dir, Sigi, Moment. Ich habe ihn schon geteilt im...
Ich habe auch schon geteilt bei mir.
Genau. Wer es noch teilen will.
Someone said keyword free energy. That kicked us off.
Maybe,
New
maybe
link, just in case somebody needs.
talking in German about these topics. So maybe, I don't know. But I don't know what you talked about.
I think I was just ranting about the way these tech platforms were all created to control us and brainwash us, and then we basically just turn the tables on the deep state, and we're using these tech platforms to wake all of our friends and family up. We're not posting pictures of our cats and our dinner on Facebook anymore. We're posting memes having to do with politics and everything else. It's awesome. It's beautiful irony.
Yeah, they didn't want us to use the internet how we use it now.
Exactly.
One question from the chat. I don't know if you know about the legal situation between Germany and the United States. You know something about it? Because it's really a big topic here.
I do not know too much about. You said the relationship between Germany and the United States?
Yes. It's a really big topic.
I'm aware that Merkel is not such a friendly face. I'm not a big fan of her, and I'm sure you guys aren't a fan of her.
Yes, this is on the political on the political area, but maybe you can say Germany is the 51st state of the United States.
Yeah. There's a lot of territories that seem to be the 51st state of the United States. It's sad how this country, America, at least, was used.
And we like the peace treaty.
It was used as the deep state's empire builder. That's what America was for the last 100 years, was basically the empire builder for the deep state. And if Hillary would have won in 2016, I think that the globalists, the worldwide deep state, they were going to let America crash and then bring up China as being the new global superpower. And it was going to be probably a maybe 10 to 20-year process, but it would have been a slow changeover. They were just going to let America fall, let it turn into a shithole, and then bring China up. But we're, fighting that, not letting that happen. And we're seeing every single country. Every single country on the planet is having their own little tiny awakening within it and calling for change. This whole COVID thing was a huge wake-up call to a lot of countries worldwide. And a lot of people, of course, got brainwashed by it and think they need the masks and all that stuff. But so many people are fed up with the good old election infection, as we like to call it here in America. And not just that, but this vaccine being rolled out too. I wanted to touch on that really briefly because, it is a worry for some of us here in America, but I'm worried for you guys in the European countries and the other countries where the government's a little more controlling than what we have here, because God, they are pushing this vaccine propaganda so hard. For the past month, every single Monday, I've been noticing this. I've been tracking it, talking about it on my videos that I do on DLive and Twitch. Every single Monday is the day of the week that we hear the news about the vaccines. It's always on a Monday. 4 weeks ago, we heard about Pfizer's vaccine. Oh, it's 90% effective. Pfizer's vaccine. Oh, great. 3 weeks ago, news came out about Moderna's vaccine. Okay, that was the week after Pfizer's vaccine was announced. This was also on a Monday, exactly a week later. Oh, Moderna's vaccine is out. It's 95% effective. Then Pfizer broke news that, ours is 95% effective too. It's like they're in this stupid race of numbers. Last week, we heard about AstraZeneca's vaccine, and they're working with Oxford. Great. Yes, Oxford. That's like the Ivy League of England, right? Oxford. Very corrupt institution. And then AstraZeneca, which is a very corrupt pharmaceutical company. AstraZeneca, for those who don't know, is basically the brainchild behind Breast Cancer Awareness Month and the Susan G. Komen Foundation. So all of those pink ribbons, all that breast cancer stuff, AstraZeneca put a lot of money into that initiative back in the 1980s. And guess what AstraZeneca makes? Tamoxifen, the most popular breast cancer drug on the planet. The maker of the most popular breast cancer drug on the planet, created Breast Cancer Awareness Month, trying to get all the women out there to go get tested all the time, get your mammograms, which mammograms actually are huge promoters of cancer because women are radiating their breasts every year doing those things. It's terrible. And what's the treatment? They always say, oh, if you do get breast cancer, what are you going to go and get? Tamoxifen. So AstraZeneca is just this cesspool of corruption. That's one example, is the Breast Cancer Awareness Month. But now they're trying to push this COVID vaccine on us. And we have all these options. We got Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca, totally corrupt companies. And lo and behold, good old Bill Gates. Good old Bill Gates invested a whole lot of money in Moderna and may have invested money in these other companies too. I mean, he's put, of course, a lot of money into pretty much anything that he can gain control with, Bill Gates. He's like this little control freak. I'm disgusted that I live not too far from him. He lives in this same state that I do here in Washington. Bill Gates, he likes to put his money into geoengineering. He wants to control the planet. He wants to control the food with all the money he puts into GMOs. He wants to control people's immune systems, I guess, with these vaccines he keeps trying to roll out. I just saw a photo go viral over the weekend of Bill Gates with the CEO of Smartmatic. Smartmatic, one of the companies that's alleged to be involved in all this election fraud going on right now. That picture from Bill Gates and the CEO of Smartmatic was taken in 2015. Somebody found it on Twitter and it went viral over the weekend. So is he trying to control elections too? Like, what a little control freak. And now these vaccines that are coming out, a lot of them have Bill Gates money behind them. If they don't, it's still a big corrupt pharma company bringing them out anyway. And these vaccines coming out for COVID, they are experimental vaccines, as they're often called. And they're called experimental vaccines because the type of vaccine that they're bringing out, they're called mRNA vaccines, messenger RNA it stands for. This type of vaccine technology has never been used before. I don't think it's ever even been studied before. COVID is this huge, very convenient op for them to bring out this
free trial.
Yeah, this brand new vaccine we've never done before, but we
Let's
need
see
it
what's gonna happen.
Exactly. So I am definitely not taking this shot. I'm going to stay far away from it. Thankfully, in America here, I don't think the government's not going to mandate it, at least the federal government. Some state governments might try to make it mandated, but it's going to get such a backlash. People were pissed off enough when they tried to make masks mandatory, and people are still pissed off by that. If they tried to make a COVID shot mandatory, the government did, yeah, that wouldn't end well. So I don't think the government is going to be able to mandate it, but that's where the private sector is trying to do it. Companies are trying to do it. So, for instance, Ticketmaster announced a week or two ago that they're going to make people have to show proof of vaccination before they buy concert tickets. And then we had the news about that international airline. I forgot the name of it, but he was saying that the CEO of that company was saying that people can't.
Whatever. Was the one who got that cake in his face?
Yeah. Was it Qantas? Qantas. I think that was the company.
Yes, Qantas. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. That CEO said you're not going to be able to fly unless you got your vaccine papers. So, yeah, good old Nazi Germany in action here. Show your papers. So the private sector, sure. Maybe they can. I don't know if it's legal or not. Maybe it's legal because they're private companies, or maybe not. But they are trying to make people get the vaccine to use their services, which, fine, go ahead, Ticketmaster and airlines and whatever other companies out there try to make this vaccine mandatory. Do it. You know why? Your company is going to fail in a year. It won't last longer than a few months. I would love to see your next earnings report because people in mass are going to boycott your company and not use it. So it's just they're shooting themselves in the foot, really, by making this move, trying to make people take vaccines to use their services. So it's pretty stupid for them to go do. But, I hope over there in Europe and in other countries where the government has a little more control. I hope you guys reject that poison. You know, I see a lot of videos of the protests in like Berlin and London and different places over in Europe, and I get so happy. I get so happy when I see all you guys coming together and just standing up against the BS. It's great.
It's the same here,
Yeah.
seeing people marching on DC. It gives hope.
We watch each other.
Yeah,
say-
we're all cheering each other on from across the ocean.
Yes.
Can you say
Yes,
something to Operation Warp Speed? Because many people think it's not a operation about vaccination, it's an operation about the military and the things, operations are going on now against the deep state. How do you think? What do you think?
That's a very big theory to throw out there, and of course, with everything going on right now, we're learning that it's a very multi-dimensional game in play right now. Yeah, maybe. It was interesting for Trump to call it Operation Warp Speed. I will say that. They could be using it as a cover to, who knows, do military movements of troops and equipment and stuff like that. At the same time, you know, Trump had to go and be pro-vax, because if he was in any way anti-vax, the media would have a field day on his ass. So he sort of had to be pro-vax. And in fact, it's kind of funny. He is being so pro-vaccine, which is not like him. You know, of course, if you go back through his tweets from 2012 to 14, 15, you'll find plenty of tweets where he's questioning vaccines and linking them to autism even. And he looked like an anti-vaxxer. He spoke like one. But maybe now, just for optics' sake of it, he is being so pro-vaccine that it's making the deep state and the Democrats and all of them turn anti-vax just for an excuse to attack Trump. And then they can use that angle to go and attack the Democrats, call them anti-vaxxers and all that in the mainstream media, which, you know, I would call myself an anti-vaxxer. Heck yeah, I see nothing wrong with it. But just for the mainstream information warfare optics sake of things, it's pretty funny how they're kind of flipping that script with the vaccines against them. But yeah, still, I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to take it. And I think Trump knows that a lot of his constituents out there, a lot of his supporters do their own research and understand that he kind of has to promote it and they're not going to take it themselves. So anyway, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with all of that.
Yeah,
You
we
know
think
something about Siggy?
we think that the vaccine which is distributed by the military in the US, it will contain hydroxychloroquine or Regeneron or zinc or.
I don't believe that. Because hydroxychloroquine is something that it's designed to be taken orally, going through your digestive tract. I don't know what injecting it into your blood is going to do. And also, I mean, that just doesn't seem too benevolent. It doesn't sound to me like something white hats would do, like inject you with something, not tell us it was something else. I don't personally think that's the case.
Okay.
And hydroxychloroquine as well. Maybe we could talk about that for a few minutes. It should be being used worldwide, but personally, I think there's other things out there. We are streaming to YouTube, aren't we?
Okay. Yes.
Are we streaming to YouTube? We are, right?
Yeah, we are.
Okay, I'm not gonna go further into this conversation then, because I don't want you guys to lose your channel.
Okay.
But I'll just
know
say
what you
that
mean.
I'll just say that when Donald Trump mentioned that disinfectant, right?
I know what you mean. We know
Okay,
know.
you got Andreas
what you're
Calper and them over there. Yeah, there's better things out there than hydroxychloroquine for killing off viruses, and I mean, there's so many things. There's so many different things out there that can
Sunlight. Just sunlight.
Yeah.
You know something about Defender 2020?
I don't know anything about Defender 2020.
Okay.
I've never even heard of it before. So I'm actually Googling it right now.
It is it is one of the biggest military transportation maneuvers from troops from the US to Germany, like the old Reforger maneuvers, where, let's say, up to 4,000 military vehicles, mainly M1 and Bradleys and all the stuff is sent back to Europe, to Germany. And in March, they brought, let's say, about 4,000 vehicles over to us. And I don't think that they moved back. And there were many news about more vehicles and military stuff shipped over the last week. So we are in Europe, we are thinking perhaps the US military will take over control when Germany or the government will fall. This is a theory we have here in Germany.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm looking at it now. I think I've heard of Defender 2020 before. This article says here, third largest exercise like ever, 37,000 soldiers plus 7,000 National Guardsmen. That is a good amount. Do you know where? Is there a specific area it's taking place? These
the ship in Holland, Netherlands, Belgium, northern Germany.
Okay.
And the official story is to go to exercise to Poland. To the media say they want to go against Russia.
Yeah,
but,
it's
what the media says.
Protection against Russia or exercises, no?
And many troops are shipped to the big training area at Grafenwöhr and Hohenfels. If you like to, I will write you the spelling of the big places, because they are the biggest training centers in Germany and whole Europe for the US Army.
Yeah, we'll see. That'd be good if we got some arrests all at the same time in multiple countries, huh?
One thing we talk about very much here in Germany is that we still have no peace treaty with the United States. You know, and these two things combined let many people think that there are things behind the curtain which will make the US intervene in Germany or in Europe. But maybe it's not a topic in the US. And I can understand, because it's,
basically, with the lack of the peace treaty, we're still an occupied country. With US troops having been stationed there since World War II. They never left. Like, we were always occupied under the formal term.
Yeah, with
and many people hope that Trump will bring a peace treaty.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see how all these little pieces align in the coming months.
Perhaps we have to reconnect again, and then we can give you some information we have here in Germany about these things. And you have got contacts to certain, let's say, guys in the US to discuss this one time, perhaps.
Yeah. I've got a lot of, I'm connected with a lot of the people who, I guess you could call the citizen journalists in this country, the YouTubers.
And one thing which is in these days very important, we think, is that Chris Miller visited Ramstein a few days ago, and General Flynn went to the Netherlands. You know something about it?
I didn't know Chris Miller was in Germany. You said he was there.
In Ramstein, yes.
He was in Ramstein. It's legally not Germany. I think so.
He was on the way to Africa. He was on the way to Africa, made a stop in Germany, Ramstein, for a few hours.
On the US military base. You know something about General Flynn in the Netherlands?
So that was another claim going around, but I didn't see any evidence for it that General Flynn took off, I think, on a jet, somebody said, and went overseas. I don't know about that one. So
you don't know about. Okay, we want to don't want to bring you in corners you want to be in. Maybe what about time? Do you have a few minutes left?
10, 15 minutes.
So a little bit about the Great Awakening and the things coming the next years. The technologies and.
I'm a really big picture sort of person. Like I was kind of explaining earlier, I'm not that political. Over the past few years, I've gotten more into politics because I've come to understand that it is important, but I still often think about and have my focus way bigger picture. So I'm talking like all those free energy technologies that I was discussing, and what's the real science out there? What's the real philosophy? What's other life like in our cosmos and things like that. I think the next few years are going to bring, after we get through this election fraud, out of this godforsaken year of 2020, and then Trump does get his second term and we start trucking through that, I think we're going to see some incredible disclosures. We have the Space Force here, of course, and I think we'll get some technologies and developments disclosed through that. Then, although I do want to say one thing, how do we get into this conversation here? So, talking about election fraud, right? We know that the censorship's just not working well enough. We know the mainstream media is just not brainwashing us good enough. So their whole system's breaking down. That, of course, would lead us to then assume, well, the deep state desperately would want some sort of distraction or diversion to prevent the exposing and disclosing of all their crimes. So what I'm gathering at here, sort of bringing the weird stuff into this conversation, bringing it back around to that. I think it's a very good possibility that within the next month, by the end of the year, in the mainstream media, we could see another big push of maybe UFO kind of information or something along those lines, something weird, something that they're going to try to make look non-political and something extravagant, that would divert everybody's attention away, completely absorb their focus. So who knows? We could see something definitely weird come out as a distraction, maybe having to do with UFOs or something of that nature. We've sort of seen it in this country for...
Wait.
What's that?
Look at this. We have of our biggest newspaper here in Germany, the Bild Zeitung. Today, this headline, will Trump verhindern?
Is Trump prohibiting the UFO leaks?
Disclosure.
Oh my gosh, that's the angle they're taking. Oh, it's crazy. So that screenshot they're showing, that little UFO video, that is the same damn video that they've printed 1 million times for the last 3 years. That was the one that the New York Times released in December of 2017, that black and white video taken by the Navy pilot. And that's the one that Tom DeLonge's group, former rock star, former Blink-182 guy, Tom DeLonge is like the UFO disclosure guy now, but he is totally being controlled by the CIA and the shadow government to go and do this. And it is not official disclosure. This isn't official UFO disclosure at all. It's a big distraction. Q even said that back in December of 2017. But Q also said that, secret space programs do exist. ET life, extraterrestrial life out there does exist. It's just incredibly classified. These things are very real. So I'm not saying that disclosure is fake or UFOs are fake or anything like that. Trust me, I've researched those topics very deeply. I believe a lot of stuff about them. But what I'm saying is that the mainstream media, like what we just saw in Germany there, and like we've been seeing here in America for the last 3 years, they're using UFOs as they're literally trying to distract us with shiny objects, with flying saucers. They're using this topic in a limited hangout fashion, they're watering it down. They're not giving us the whole truth at all. They're giving us just a tiny sliver of truth, and then they're bringing a bunch of disinformation in there with it. And they're trying to pressure Trump, as we're seeing now. with this topic.
Didn't they also like confirm it super sneaky in the middle of the pandemic, and then they slipped an article in some newspaper of like, yeah, we're confirming UFO aliens exist.
What happened with those UFO videos that the New York Times put out is that they did not get those from the government. They got those from guys who just quit the government, and then like they were never classified. Actually, they basically like took them out because they weren't classified, those videos, and then leaked them to the New York Times. There was actually people associated with Tom DeLonge's UFO group. So it was never disclosure. And it basically, they're trying to pressure the Trump administration to, do something about it. So it's like, yeah, the government, the Pentagon, did put out a statement that confirmed that those videos are real. But the reason they did that is because these videos leaked in the first place, and they were kind of like pressured to go and do that. Very confusing. It's a very confusing situation with all of that, but it's just a whole distraction piece. It's a whole political, like, watered down disclosure that's going on. Even last night, President Obama was on a late night talk show here in America, Stephen Colbert's show, and Stephen Colbert asked him about UFOs. So that example, plus the German newspaper there, I just think we're seeing a lot of different data points leads me to believe that they might try to pull something here within the next few weeks. So it's a very big possibility. But again, whatever they try and pull is just going to fall flat on its face. This brings in a lot of like, fake alien invasion or Project Bluebeam kind of conspiracies. I don't really vibe with much of what's said about those, because I think that's kind of conspiracy clickbait, what's said there. But no, I do think the deep state might still try to pull something with UFOs. I don't think it'll work. And I do think that the white hats, the good guys in government, Q team, I think they're working for a full disclosure, not just taking down, the Clinton Foundation and the pedos and Epstein and the election fraud and all that. But hey, Q is mentioned that secret space programs exist. They mentioned Project Looking Glass before. That one blew my mind. I never thought they would go and post that, but here they go and post Project Looking Glass. I mean, I've been Q'd a couple times, and here I'm the weird one talking about aliens all the time and UFOs and stuff. So no, I do think the white hats Q team is pushing for that full disclosure, but it's so deep end, it's so out there and mind-blowing that baby steps, we just have to sort of take it in baby steps.
Yeah, but you see it coming.
Right. I get distracted with these comments. I don't mean to stop like that, but
practicing
comments always get to me.
Yeah. You can switch it off, I think. Yeah. Thanks. Until this point, you want to stay a little bit, or you are hungry?
I'm gonna get going. I've got some more videos to work on today and stuff like that. So, but no, I thank you guys for having me on here, and thank you to all your audience. This is watching here too. I mean, just crazy. People from Queensland, Australia, and all sorts of different places here. So, great love in the comments. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So then, we thank you for coming. Maybe after this whole shit it's finished.
Storm.
In English, I can't say it.
To make it nice.
We'll come back and we have another talk.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd love to.
We would appreciate it very much, our viewers too.
Maybe I'll learn German for you guys and try to.
Oh, wow! Great idea. Yeah.
Thanks for coming on, Jordan. Good luck with your lawsuit.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks.
Good luck with your work,
Thanks a
and
lot.
we hope all you get your big channels back. I also followed you on Twitter, and I miss you there. Also.
Oh, I miss Twitter too. I miss Twitter. Twitter was good. I mean, I had a couple tweets that were linked by Q. I had tweets that I never did get a retweet by Trump like some others did, which is okay. But I miss it. I miss Twitter.
You're not as crazy as Carly.
What's that?
You're not as crazy as Carly. That's why Trump doesn't retweet you.
I don't ever water my stuff down. That's probably why. I don't water it down enough for him to be able to be like, whatever.
So, okay.
We shared all your links as far as we could, and so you will have new people joining you.
Wait,
thank you guys. Appreciate it.
This is your. Everybody can find everything you share.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So
we share that with a nice picture of you.
Thanks, Jordan.
Guys.
We wish you a nice day and keep on going.
Yeah.
Thanks for being
here.
Cool.
Let's stay in touch.
Thanks very much.
I'll come on in again soon. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
Cool.
Bye, Jordan. Thank you.
Bye.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.